I'm 52 years old, and for most of my life I played things safe. Love came and went like a soft breeze, never loud, never lasting. I raised my daughter on my own, worked hard, and lived in a little house that always smelled like lavender and strong coffee. I used to think people like me didn't have stories worth telling. But something happened last spring, something I still have trouble putting into words. I never imagined something like that could happen to me. Please don't make the same mistake I did. It started on one of those warm Saturday afternoons in early May. I remember it clearly because the breeze through the bathroom window felt like a gentle whisper against my damp skin. I had just stepped out of the shower, wrapped in my worn, oversized robe, the fluffy blue one with the frayed sleeve. The house was quiet. Or so I thought. I was staying at my cousin Elaine's place for the week while she and her husband were in Florida. She'd asked me to keep an eye on the house and help her 22-year-old son, Ryan, as he recovered from knee surgery. He was mostly independent, just a little unsteady, and needed help with errands and getting around. We weren't particularly close. Ryan had grown up so fast, taller and quieter each time I saw him. I still remembered him as the little boy who used to call me Aunt Maddie and leave sticky popsicle kisses on my cheeks. I hadn't seen him that morning. I figured he was still asleep. Headphones on, lights dimmed, like most young men. So I took my time in the shower, letting the water ease the tightness in my shoulders. I wasn't expecting anyone. I wasn't bracing for anything. That's why I didn't hear the footsteps right away. The bathroom door creaked open softly. So softly I thought maybe it was the wind. I was leaning over the sink, dabbing lotion onto my neck, when I caught the movement in the mirror. I turned my head just enough to see him standing there, Ryan. His eyes went wide the moment our gazes met, and he froze like a deer in headlights. For a heartbeat, everything felt suspended. "Oh no," he gasped. His voice cracked as he turned away, his hand on the door. I thought, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just needed my brace. It's in the cabinet under the sink. I didn't think anyone was in here." I tightened the robe around my waist and took a breath. "It's okay. I should have locked the door. I'm sorry too." We stood there for a moment, not quite looking at each other. The tension was awkward, not angry, more like a quiet buzz under the surface. He stepped back inside, still facing slightly away. "I can get it." "No, I'll grab it," I said, kneeling down to open the cabinet. My hands felt unsteady. I was painfully aware of how much skin was showing as I bent down. I passed the brace to him and looked up. Our faces suddenly closer than I expected. His eyes were familiar, yet different. Not the eyes of a boy anymore. There was a softness there, something thoughtful. He took the brace gently, his fingers brushing mine. "Thanks," he said quietly. I nodded, but didn't move away. Neither did he. "I remember when you used to chase me around the yard with a water hose," he said, a smile curling at his lips. "And you'd scream like a banshee," I chuckled. "I didn't hate it," he added, his voice lower. The air felt heavier, but not in a frightening way. In a way that made me feel noticed. Like I hadn't faded into the background of everyone's lives after all. Finally, I stepped back. "Let's get you set up with that brace." As I helped him fasten the straps, our hands brushed again. I couldn't help but wonder. Had something changed in those accidental seconds? That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in Elaine's guest room, staring at the ceiling fan as it hummed overhead. I kept replaying that moment. The look on Ryan's face, the way his voice trembled. It had been innocent. It had to be. But it stirred something in me I wasn't prepared for. Not shame, not guilt. Just something I hadn't felt in a long time. The next morning, I busied myself with breakfast. I poured cereal into a bowl, threw on a sweater to feel more covered, and tried to act like everything was normal. Ryan walked in slowly, his steps uneven. His hair was tousled, his eyes still soft with sleep. "Morning," he said. "Morning. How's the knee?" "Stiff but getting better." I nodded. "Let me know if you want to do the exercises. I can help." "You're better than the physical therapist," he teased. I laughed. "I doubt that." He sat across from me at the small kitchen table. "You've always been patient, even when I was a little tornado." "You were never a problem," I said gently. "Just spirited." He tilted his head slightly. "You always saw the good in people, didn't you?" I felt a flutter in my chest. I try. Then, after a pause, he set his spoon down. Can I ask you something personal? I stiffened a little. Depends. Why aren't you with anyone? The question took me by surprise. That's unexpected. I just mean someone like you, kind, warm, beautiful. It doesn't make sense to me. You deserve someone. My heart skipped. That's sweet, Ryan. But relationships are complicated. After a while, you get used to being alone. But do you want to be? I didn't answer right away. I looked out the window. Sometimes. But life feels easier when you stop hoping too much. You shouldn't have to quiet your heart, he said, his voice calm. You still have so much to give. His words sank deeper than he probably knew. Later that day, I helped him through his stretches. He winced a few times and cursed under his breath, and I teased him about how inflexible he was. At one point, I held his foot steady as he lay back, breathing through the discomfort. You're stronger than you think, I told him. He opened his eyes, looked up at me. So are you. That evening, I lingered near his room longer than I needed to. I told myself I was checking in, offering snacks or ice, but really, I just wanted to hear his voice. I knocked. You okay? He was lying on his side, a book open on his chest. Yeah, just thinking. About what? About us. What's been happening? The way you looked at me. I know I'm not imagining it. I stepped inside, uncertain. Ryan, I'm not trying to make this uncomfortable, he said. But I need you to know that moment in the bathroom. It meant something to me. My heart pounded. I shut the door quietly. I haven't stopped thinking about it either. Me neither. Nothing happened, not physically, but everything had changed. For the first time in years, I felt seen. The next morning, I poured orange juice as Ryan came into the kitchen. His hair was still damp, and his t-shirt clung to him just enough that I had to look away. You were up early, he said. So were you. He leaned against the counter. Didn't sleep much. Me neither. Can we talk? I sighed. I think we already did. No, he said, stepping forward. We danced around it. I need to know, did you feel it too? I turned to him. I did. And it scared me. He nodded. Because I'm younger? Because of family. Because I've built walls to stay safe. And this feels like they're catching fire. He smiled softly. Maybe that's not so bad. I wanted to protest, but the look in his eyes silenced every excuse. I'm not rushing you, he said. I just don't want to pretend. I see you, not just as someone older or related to my mom. I see someone who listens, who lifts people up. I blinked fast, swallowing emotion. You don't have to do anything, he added. Just don't close the door. Later, we sat on the patio sipping iced tea. He told me about his music, his goals, and asked me about my own dreams. I used to want to run a bookstore, I said. The kind with creaky floors and mismatched chairs. You should still do it. Maybe I will. That night, folding towels in the hallway, our hands brushed again. He didn't kiss me. He just leaned his forehead gently against mine. I like who I am around you, he whispered. I like who I'm becoming, I replied. Diane texted the next morning saying their flight was delayed. We had one more quiet day. Nothing happened in a way someone might assume, but everything happened in the way that mattered. As I packed and we said goodbye, we didn't make promises. Just a shared look, a warm goodbye, a quiet truth. Driving home, I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel shame. I felt alive. So if you're listening to this and wondering if your story is already written, let me tell you it isn't. Sometimes life surprises you in the quietest, most complicated, and beautiful ways. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more heartfelt stories to life. And we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Has life ever surprised you when you least expected it? Let us know.